Oi, oi, oi. Yes, let's be all the way here now. Says the girl who was just dropping F bombs in the 40-foot school and binge eating Cold Stone Creamery ice cream, Oreo coffee flavor, Don't let this like picturesque sitting down by the river with a cup of horsetail and a, you know, handmade ceramic cup fool you. I am large, I contain multitudes. And man, what a friggin' roller coaster. I've been so inspired and so excited to sit here and record this. And then every chance that I get, I'm so anxiety stricken because I'm solo momming and I know the kids are going to be like, Mom, wipe my butt any minute. And I just want to share. I want to share like I'm voice memoing a sweet friend of mine because I think this information is enriching. It feels anchoring for me to repeat and share. And so I digress. I'm excited to be here today to talk about the power of repetition, the power that devotional repetition has to deeply transform our lives and our experiences of ourselves in relation to all things. And I'm excited to talk about microdosing, the power of microdosing, and how to use mushrooms as a guide. And then to kind of weave through that little metaphor of mushrooms as a guide into how all things, when woven together with the power of sacred devotional repetition, are like guides, whether it's a structure or a protocol or a guru or a guide or a breath or a meditation, whatever it is that you're doing. The power that repetition has to deeply transform us is something I'm just mm, steeping in right now. I want to share a little bit about some of the nervous system rewiring rituals that I've woven into my own life. And more importantly than that, I want to share a little bit about how I cleanse the channel so that I can tune in deeply to my inner knowing and come to the perfect ritual protocol, whatever you want to call it, for myself. In order to deeply nurture the fertile ground of my being so that I can blossom into a more expanded version of myself. I want to talk about wealth and how a couple weeks ago at my annual getaway with Kate Moon for our women's retreat, we ran away to the woods for a week and disconnected from everything external and reconnected to everything internal, and how my experience of wealth expanded beyond the material and how that's been revolutionary for me. So the last podcast that I recorded for you was all about how Matt and I were working with cutting off the influx of material possessions um, in order to ground and root and really honor the possessions, the things that we already have. And how the thought is that through this honoring, right, learning to hold with gratitude, with joy, with contentment, what we already have, we then grow the capacity to hold more, right? Because a nervous system that isn't stressed, frazzled, on edge, activated, is a nervous system that's able to, that's in ventral vagal connection, creativity, flow, joy, is a nervous system that can hold abundance, right? And not just have it trickle through their fingertips. So last week was all about material. And in the time between recording that podcast and now, I have ventured to the woods. I have reconnected to my inner knowing in a really deep and profound way, in a way that I just feel like is almost impossible in the hustle and bustle of everyday life when you have, especially when you have children, because there is no sacred place. I haven't peed alone for 8 years. and and when I was there and I was pondering this kind of intention Matt and I set in the new year to step into wealth. I want to be rich. And I started to think about a story I heard many, many years ago when I was doing a Vipassana. And who was this? Gwenka G tells the story of the yogi who gets the guru who gets a new car, and he's waited his whole life for this new car, and he's so excited. He drives it off the lot. He's has a friend out with him to cruise around town and show off the new wheels, some fancy car that I don't know the name of. And they come to a stoplight, and thunk, his first day of driving this car around, and he's so happy, right, about the car. Um, and his first stoplight, and he gets hit. He gets rear-ended. And the yogi gets out of the car and he goes back to see the guy behind him, and the guy's like, I'm so sorry, I dropped my phone, I was my and the yogi's just like, no, thank you so much. Now I don't have to live with the anxiety and the stress of like, when am I going to get my first scratch? Thank you so much. And the moral of the story here, it's so potent, it's so powerful, is that material things, although they may spur a feeling of joy or a feeling of happiness, I'll say, I think joy is more everlasting, more eternal, has more depth. It is the undying summer within us. Happiness seems more superficial to me. So even though material things may spur happiness, they also just as easily can bring us pain. And as I was like thinking about the story, I realized like, I don't really, money is not the actual thing that I want. What I actually want is this feeling. And I wrote this song, and it's, I am the spacious tingling, the rippling pleasure, ease embodied, a sigh of relief, deep gratitude, learning to breathe, deep gratitude. And the song came to me in this moment where I was reflecting on this story and reflecting on my true desire. And I realized like, what I want is that feeling of just rest and playfulness and gratitude and generosity without the tinge of guilt and shame and survival instinct. And so, while I think it's important to also take into account the material, like I said, this vision of wealth is now expanded beyond just the material, and I feel it now as this kind of psycho spiritual emotional thing, multidimensional thing. Wow, right? Who would have thought? You're probably like, duh. But for me, it felt really potent and powerful. And I started to think, like, I don't have to wait then for this feeling. I don't have to wait for money to bring this feeling then. Because again, just as easily as money can, as an aspect of wealth, bring happiness, it's fleeting, anicca, impermanence. And just as easily as it can bring happiness, it can bring pain and suffering, right? Like somebody steals from you and that money is gone now. Your business tanks and it's gone now. Taxes, some kind of armed robbery, I don't know, right? Then the thing that brought you the happiness is now bringing you the pain. So why not go below that to the ever flowing river of mm, joy, to the spirit, the everlasting spirit within us, right? Where we can tune into the frequency of tingling spaciousness, rippling pleasure. Mm. And so that's what I've been doing. And just as easily as like, when you watch like one of your favorite movies, and the main character is just like hit rock bottom and now they're climbing to the top, and whether it's with love or with work or sports, whatever it is, like there's a moment, the apex moment of the movie where they finally make it, and the music, the cinematic music, and the moment, and you're crying and you're happy and you're feeling compersion, so happy for them in their success, and there's all these emotions happening in you, right? That's good cinema. You can just as easily turn that power of imagination, right, of empathy, back in on yourself. And that's what I've been doing. So I've been waking up in the morning and I've been stopping like a train in their tracks, all the thoughts about, oh, I have so much to do today, and all the people I want to help or have to help, or all these thoughts, I stop them like a train in their tracks. I roll back over and touch Matt because he's my safe spot, he's my safety blanket, and just makes me calm, warm, easeful. um God bless him also. Like I've been such a bitch. I've just been in a mood. I've just and he's like, I love you. And I call him to bitch some more, and he's like, well, I love you. And then just now I'm like, Matt, I've been a bitch all day. Stop saying you love me. And he's like, you are a bitch and I love you. God bless that we are all so lucky to find someone who loves us in all of our parts. Because yeah, this bitch can go. I'm Ludio. If you know, you know. Um, where was I? So I'll try to stay in that liminal space where my eyes are still closed. I haven't started going and planning it. And I'll conjure up those feelings. I'll say the words tingling spaciousness, rippling pleasure, ease, gratitude, playfulness. And I'll wait till I can feel those feelings in my body. I'll like a cinematic moment in a movie, right? Like the apex moment in a movie. I'll imagine myself as the main character of a movie, and it'll usually be here. This is my happy place, and it'll usually be with Matt there and the kids there, and I'm so full of life and vigor and joy because I've been so impeccably cared for by myself that it's just spilling out and onto them. Like I'm so happy to hear all their thoughts and to have them hugging and touching me, and I'm not overwhelmed at all. And so I'm imagining myself within my capacity being boundaried. Maybe they're all talking at the same time and I'm telling them, little ones, one at a time, and maybe I'm eye to eye contact with my kids or Matt, and I'm feeling this rippling spaciousness, right? And then I celebrate myself. I'm like, you fucking did it. You're finally feeling all the feelings you've been waiting to feel. And then from there, I roll out of bed and I go scrape my tongue. And if you're not scraping your tongue, you should, because 80% of the bacteria in your mouth, roughly, give or take, lives on your tongue. It'll make your breath smell better. It'll decrease your chance of getting cavities, halitosis, gingivitis. It's a really simple practice that is so rewarding. And then Matt and I will drink a giant glass of lemon water and sprinkle some pink Himalayan salt in there. And we drink spring water. We go get it at the Greenwater Gorge. It's an amazing spot. Sign the petition. They're trying to build some kind of plant there. I can't remember now. We want to keep our water pure. And we drink this big cup of water because it's so grounding. I'm very like vata, kind of windy continents. And this hot water, just below boiling, with lemon and salt, cleanses and tonifies my digestive tract, keeps me regular with my bowel movements at the same time every day, which is powerful medicine, especially for someone who spent the greater part of 2 decades chronically constipated. Um, and then it also just soothes my nervous system. Like having a warm beverage is so soothing and comforting for me. So starting my day like that really sets the tone. And then I am working with a couple different supplements right now, and they are Irish moss. So I take a big tablespoon of that and a big tablespoon of black sesame tahini, and both of these are extremely mineral dense. And I'm working with these because it was shown to me, revealed to me, that when the body does not have the nutrients, the basic nutrients it needs, and we live in such a mineral deprived world, right? Even the organic food that you're getting at the supermarket is so stripped of microorganisms, of dirt, um, of life, that we're starved for it. And so, uh, when we are stuck in basic survival mode, it's really hard to have access to the upper chakras, the realms of like creativity and vision and manifesting. You know, we're going to be stuck down here just trying to like fight for survival, for basic needs. And so I start my day with that nourishing, with those nourishing supplements, and they're straight from nature, right? They're not an extract, they are nature. And so they're super bioavailable and easy for my body to absorb over a capsule. And then we have a big breakfast. Matt makes us a hot breakfast every day. So we have like scrambles and sourdough toast and delicious. And then the boys will all take off and go outside, and I will start my morning protocol. And usually about now, I start to get like, at this point, I start to get anxious and I start to feel guilty, and the mom guilt comes in. I should be out with my kids. I should be doing something else. I'm allotting so much time to just myself. Like I'm so neat. I stop it like a train in its tracks, and I'll do 5 minutes of breath work. And I do it, I think it's like called Breathe with Sandy. I love him. There's a 5 minute one that's my favorite. I think it actually is about 8 minutes from start to finish. But as soon as I do that, I feel grounded and present and warm and tingly and spacious. And then I'll either make myself a nervous system supportive drink, or I'll take a microdose. And with my drink, I usually will weave in functional mushrooms. So the power of mushrooms is something we'll get into a little bit later, but I like to take these uh, while I'm doing this practice to really start to create that neural associative quality of I feel expanded and open and soft and grounded through the breath work and ready to receive this information into my system and integrate it into my system. And then I grabbed Deb Dana's book, And I stop and I pause for a moment and I imagine all versions of myself in all lifetimes, timelines, and dimensions, past, present, and future, lined up in front of me and behind me. And like accordion style, I imagine them coming in on me at the center, like a sandwich. And I'm kind of merging with all of them. And here in this way, I feel myself embodying the wisdom of the ages and transmuting and sharing this wisdom that I'm taking in with all versions of myself in all timelines and dimensions. And then from there, I do one page, I do one exercise, and I give myself wholly to it. And sometimes I journal and reflect. Sometimes I sit and meditate. Sometimes I speak out loud. Oh, the moon is poking out through the trees over there. Um, and then when I'm through, I either do some kind of yoga flow or physical movement, or I take the boys on like a 2 to 4 mile hike. We do that a few times a week. I love to take the boys on a hike because it's such a special and powerful way um, to integrate nature and connected and present time with my children. I don't bring my phone, um, and physical movement into my day. And I'll never invite you along because there's like a sacred pause that happens when you're with children in the wilds, and we don't talk about anything that isn't in the moment. And we just coo and we and we oh, and we wonder at all of the beauty around us. And we do about 1 mile an hour. We're slow, we're pokey little puppies, and we love it. We're not in a rush, and it's so sacred. Um, so I move my body because it's less about, it is important to me to have a fit and physical body because I want to be here healthy, happy, and free as long as possible. But I've also just come to know after, 3 decades of watching the habit patterns of my being on in this plane, in this dimension. When I start to get stagnant in my body, it also translates to my heart, to my mind, to my spirit. And so I move the body to move energy in my heart, to move energy in my mind, to move energy in my spirit, and to stay balanced. It really greatly affects my ability to remain as a clear channel. When I don't move, I get murky, I get muddy. Uh, okay, so, and then, okay, so the apex of all this, I found myself feeling really guilty about this. So that puts us at about lunchtime, right? Maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And all I've done is basically tend myself. And two things. I found that I was feeling like guilty and stressed and trying to rush through it at some point in this season. And I realized that it was just disconnecting me from my children more. So I thought, can I stay grounded and connected to them and also hold the boundary that this is my time to do this deep work? And and so it started with that. And then I started thinking, oh my God, like I'm not just rippling goosebumps. I'm not just doing this for myself. In the same way that epigenetics and science today tell us, or the Bible of old told us, 7 years forward, 7 years back, when the condition of our nervous systems now is imprinting for 7 generations to come, 7 generations back. And so if I want to imprint a nervous system that is spacious, that is fluid, if I want to imprint deep bellied breath and presence, then I need to be an impeccable petri dish of just that. And the conversation I keep having that I'm excited to share here too is that if I let myself be less than discerning about the information that I'm taking in, then I'm murky the waters. Then I become muddy, stinky, stagnant. And so I want to pause right here and talk a little bit about the power of keeping a clear channel and what that means to me. So if we think of ourselves as a kind of sponge, and everything we expose ourselves to, the myriad of ways we take in information through social media, through our social networks, through work, through news, through radio, podcasts, all the ways that information is coming in at us, we, just like a sponge, will come to a point of capacity. And each of us, I truly believe that We were never meant to come here on this earth and just bear it, right? I believe that we are each in our own way alchemists. And some of us are here to hold the megaphone, to go into the field and see what's going on and report back to the masses, like to support um, by going into the field and getting our hands dirty and digging the wells. And some of us are here writing poetry and singing songs to transmute the pain into storied meaning and inspiration and hope. There are so many different ways that we alchemize the pain and the hurt and the messiness of the world. But when we start to take in more than we are able to transmute, more than we are able to alchemize, we start to become like a sponge that is so waterlogged, and not just waterlogged, but waterlogged with poopy, stinky, icky things. Now, when you take that sponge and you try to like shine up the table or do something nice for somebody, what are you doing? In effect, you're just smearing shit around, right? That murky water that was in your sponge that was not able to get cleansed or transmuted or alchemized into something new and useful is now just smearing more shit around this already kind of shitstorm. And so my theory is that one, we become discerning. We start to decide what information is for us and what is not, what we are going to take in and what we are not. And that means cutting out, and that means cutting out certain people. That means setting boundaries around conversations, when you're available, how you're available, for how long you're available. This means choosing your choice when it comes to news, when it comes to what's on your feed, when it comes to what you're searching on YouTube, when it comes to scrolling. And when you start to clear some of that stuff up, it's like almost like you've squeezed your sponge out a little bit or left it in the sun to dry. And you'll notice now that sponge has more capacity to soak in information now. And for me, when the channel is clear, when the sponge is dried out a bit, when we are not extending living beyond our means of alchemization, we become a clear channel for the energy of life to move through us. Now, everything, billions of bits of information around us, right, are being filtered to and through the energetic body being that is you, me. And so it's being filtered through and kind of distilled into signs, symbols, and communications that make sense to you. So, in effect, like every moment is being curated just for you. And we miss the signs, the symbols, the winks from the universe when we're so saturated with other people's information. So, when I clear the channel, and I have to do this again and again, right? Because I get swept up in just, we live in the age of information. I get swept up in consuming. How many self-help books can one girl read in a lifetime? When my channel is clear, that's when I start to notice the winks from the universe. What things are popping up in my dreams? What do I keep tripping over in my path? Maybe it's actual cravings, things I want to do or imbibe or grow or touch, energies I want to be around, urges. I start to notice feelings and thoughts and dreams and the things around me. And then all of a sudden I can start to discern now through this clear filter, this clear channel, what feels resonant, what feels like it's for me. And through that, that's how I came to um, Irish sea moss. That's how I came to black sesame. That's how I came to this nervous system supportive drink I've been drinking every day. That's how I came to mushroom. And now this leads us to the power of repetition. And I'll start by talking a little bit about the power of microdosing, the power of mushrooms. So mushrooms are by nature pattern disruptors. So they go into places of rot, of decay, of death, of stillness, and they start to stir here and they start to consume and they start to transmute and they start to alchemize and bring new life or perspective or awareness to the old. Mushrooms work by silencing the default mode network, which is the network responsible for kind of rigid thinking and your ego self. And they open you up. So when that's offline, the brain lights up and we're open to making new connections, to seeing things in a new way. And the metaphor I like to use that makes sense to me, and maybe it will help you, is that I view mushrooms as like an expert tracker, a guide. And the overgrown networks in the brain, right? The Amazonian jungle of the mind, the neural networks of the mind. The mushroom is like an expert tracker that's taking you through this tangled mess to a beautiful oasis, somewhere you've never been. And so as they're hacking their way through, you finally end up at a place. Maybe there's a waterfall, the sky opens up, maybe there's beautiful fruit trees, and you're seeing things you've never seen before, and you're feeling things you've never felt before, and you're so excited to be there. But the next day you wake up excited to go venture out and go to that beautiful oasis, right? Go to that beautiful perspective, that new expansive feeling again. But in the Amazon, the old growth just takes it back. In your mind, the old neural pathways just take it back. Um, and so you won't be able to see your way or find your way there. And this is the power of sacred repetition. So mushrooms work in conjunction with this act of devotional repetition, and they work metaphorically the same way any practice that you would repeat would work. They act as the guide. They take you to the place that you want to go, just like the breath work would take you to the place, just like reading the book and practicing, wholeheartedly, the exercises would, just like um, exercising every day. Oh, there's elk crossing the river right now. So whatever the thing, whether it's a mushroom, whether it's a new structure or protocol or workout or meditation or breathwork, whatever it is, we repeat it and we repeat it and we repeat it until we know the way so well. And this takes time. There's no replacement for time, that we could walk the path blindfolded. And when we get to that point, something really magical happens. When we get to that point, we no longer have to hack through the forest to get to the beautiful oasis. Now we can simply stand at the edge of the path and call the oasis to us. We can simply, now instead of doing a half-hour breath work, we can simply think the word breath, and the belly starts to swell and the breath starts to deepen and the nervous system starts to relax. Now, and maybe instead of after years and years of rigorous meditation, you can literally just think, be present, and life becomes your living meditation. And this brings me a feeling of spaciousness and hope, because some days I wake up and I'm like, there's just so many things I've got to do to like get to baseline, right? Like I don't know how to breathe, I don't know how to be present, I don't know how to not be anxious. Like there's just so many things that I've got to, my body needs a lot of help and healing, my spirit, my heart. and and this is where this knowing, this message has just brought me profound peace, because it's not forever. It's a season of devotional repetition until you know the way with your eyes closed, and then you can let go. And the letting go is really important, because if we get too technical, if we get too mental and too mm, uh, attached to the thing, the teacher, the protocol, then we never get a chance to fully integrate it, metabolize it, assimilate it, and make it our own. Um, and and that's where the beauty really happens. Just like when you eat a really good meal and you metabolize it and you assimilate it into your very cells, it becomes you. When you really metabolize, assimilate a new practice, a new way of being, it just becomes you. And this is such a beautiful full circle loop back to the power of devoting time and energy to yourself shamelessly, guiltlessly, because when we practice devotional repetition, we are also, right, anchoring in, coding in a new way of being for the future generations. And it's so potent and it's so powerful, and it's not just for you, it's for your ancestors, your sweet ancestors who didn't know any other way besides martyrdom and self-sacrifice and overextending and lack and not enoughness. It's so they can finally rest. It's for the ones to come, so that they don't have to work so hard to figure out how to breathe or to be still or to be present or to relax or to have fun or to enjoy this big beautiful marble we live on. It'll be encoded in their nervous system through the devotional practices that we are doing now in this time. It isn't that, woof, wah, doesn't that feel good? So you are a blessing. You are a blessing, and you are a blessing when you love and tend yourself. And I need to remember that more than anyone. I need to remember this. Did I touch on all the things? So in the end, to sum it up, don't let yourself be a porta potty for information to shit in. Because if you're not transmuting it, if you're not alchemizing it, it's just sitting in there and it's getting stinky. And whether you like it or not, that stinkiness is going to leak out into everything you do. You try to help somebody with your wet, stinky, poopy sponge, you're just going to smear shit around. You know, there's an energy behind it. When we are full, when we are taking in the energy of life and living in flow, alchemizing and moving things through us, we become a clear channel. Then when we serve, we do it from a place of overflow, and it's not tinged with like need or resentfulness or stress or anxiety. It's just, it's a true gift in that way. And so, what do I always say? Remember, your story, your healing, they matter more than you know. And every act of self love, no matter how small, carries and echoes and ripples a vibration, a frequency of authenticity, of authentic love. And this energy cannot help but change everything and everyone it comes into contact with. Love yourself, change the world. And as I was saying that, I'm like seeing this image of so when I haven't taken in more than I can handle, more than I can transmute, more than I can alchemize, right? When I've turned off the news and I haven't just been taking in the world's suffering, a daily dose of suffering, then I'm able to show up, let's say even at the grocery store, and engage with the checkout guy or the bagger in a way where I'm really present and eye to eye, heart to heart, and maybe I'm just grateful in a way where that person feels really seen, and maybe they go home to their wife and children and they spread that gratitude, that presence, that heart to heart feeling with them. And maybe their wife is a news anchor who's like, this is so sweet, this moment. Now I'm going to go on and I'm sick of the fear mongering, and I'm going to share from a place of heartfelt connectedness. And then she gets on the news, and then millions of people see this and are touched by that. Like, you don't ever know what the small act of kindness, authentic love, you don't know what the ripple effect of that is going to be. It's beyond our wildest imagination, is what I think. And what I think is, if each of us was loving ourselves impeccably, living within our capacities, right, alchemizing, using the gifts that we were born here on this planet with, that the world would be a different place. What do you think? Yeah, I think it would. I think it would. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of yourself. Drink lots of living water. Nourish your body with living foods. Surround yourself with people that nurture and uplift your spirit. You are worthy of those things. You are worthy of safety. You are worthy of abundance. Be well.